It is important for you to note that the angle of elevation and the angle of projection are two different things. The angle of projection is the angle subtended by the projectile path with the horizontal or with the vertical. The angle of elevation is simply the angle subtended by the straight line joining the point of projection, the maximum height, and the horizontal. So it is worthwhile for you to understand that theta is the angle of projection and phi represents the angle of elevation. And theta is not equal to phi. Keep that in mind. In this short piece, I will show you the relationship that exists between the angle of projection and the angle of elevation. It is very easy to calculate the angle or to measure the angle of elevation, but it is not very easy to measure the angle of projection. If you know the maximum height, then it is very easy to calculate the angle of elevation. Therefore, I feel it is important for you to know the relationship between the angle of projection and the angle of elevation. So let's do this. I can represent the angle of elevation in a triangle like this. This is the maximum height, and this is x max. Well, this is not x max, this is, let me just call this x prime. And this angle here is the angle of elevation. The angle of projection is somewhat like this. That is theta. So looking at that triangle, let me put here y and let me place here x generally. So phi, the tangent of phi is just y over x, which would mean that phi is the tan inverse of y over x. This is the definition of the angle of elevation. The question is, we need to define y and we need to define x. We know that we know y at maximum height, we have its expression. Therefore, we can calculate x at maximum height as well. Generally, y is equal to v naught t sine theta minus 1/2 gt squared. And x is just v naught t cosine theta. So we can put it on there. This would mean that y over x will be equal to v naught t sine theta minus 1/2 g t squared divided by v naught t cosine theta. We can simplify this as v naught sine theta minus 1/2 gt all divided by v naught cosine theta. Now here's what is interesting. We can calculate the angle of elevation at maximum height. Why? Because we know that at maximum height, T is equal to V naught sine theta all divided by G. If we do that, we will have y over x equal to V naught sine theta minus 1/2 G bracket V naught sine theta divided by G all divided by V naught cosine theta. This G takes care of this G. This can cancel off with that, and that will be equal to 1/2 sine theta all divided by cosine theta, which is just 1/2 tan theta. Hence, we can see that phi is equal to tan inverse of 1/2 tan theta, which essentially implies that tan theta is equal to 2 tan phi. This gives us the relationship that exists between the angle of elevation and the angle of projection. It's easy to measure the angle of elevation, which means that if we know the angle of elevation, we can definitely calculate the angle of projection. Thank you.